because even though I programmed it in, and I will do this for all your sessions with the details, the RTMP details, it did not. Details. It did not.
If you have the broadcast window open.
I do. It's me. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
The broadcast window open.
I do. It's me. Hold on. Hold on. I think it might have been coming through on the editor page. That's why I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. Coming through on the editor page. That's why I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. Coming through on the editor page. That's why I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. No, it's still coming through. No, it's still coming through.
Stefan, do you want to check your stuff? I think I saw your mic moving when the. Stefan, do you want to check your stuff? I think I saw your mic moving when the. Stefan, do you want to check your stuff? I think I saw your mic moving.
I closed the editor page. Oh, it's gone?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Okay, so maybe it was Stefan. So then let's go back to, okay. So Brand Live seems to be receiving the signal and the captions are coming through. I do need to make sure, I'm sorry, I'm connected without a camera on this computer. Does anyone have a camera and could just like speak for a minute? Oh, Stefan can't understand anything. That's not good. Stefan, what does that mean?
I was just getting a bunch of echoes over the same statement over and over.
Is it possible that you have something up?
Yeah,
like
Stefan, looks like that's coming from you. Looks like the echo is coming from your maybe.
Because I'm not, I know I had the Brand Live editor page open, but I closed it. All right, Elizabeth, if you can do Cam and Mike, I'm just going to make sure that the captions are syncing up correctly in Brand Live. So yeah, just, I don't know, read something, anything you want.
I was just getting a second. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Oliver and welcome to Brand Live. And just so y'all know, I may have missed it since I was a couple minutes late. What are y'all actually watching this live stream on? If would somebody mind posting a link within the chat, please?
Yeah, so are you registered for the event?
I am. I registered about 5 days ago. I didn't use any special link that you had sent out.
So if
yes, I'm registered.
If you go in, the feed is coming from my end. Okay. I just don't hear it, so I don't know. I'll just close literally everything else on this device. But for whatever reason, I can't hear any type of feedback.
Can you? Oh, you're trying to listen through the broadcast event, correct? Not just through Zoom.
Well, right now I'm just in Zoom because of what Stefan sent, but
No, this is Stefan. Even though I had signed out of the session on my Brand Live, that was because I'm doing Zoom on my Mac right now, and I had Brand Live set up on my second screen, but even though I popped out of it, it was still playing the audio, even though I was no longer in this active session, so I just closed it, and now I'm fine. So the feedback was coming through my mic. So I've set up Brand Live on my other computer right now.
Okay. When
So
you say you left the feed, do you mean you like clicked back to the agenda?
yes.
It's supposed to have a player like that continues. So it's not supposed to be audio only, but I clicked back and it is for me. But it's supposed like I think there's supposed to be a little pop-up window in the bottom right when you do that. But I guess it just goes audio only. Anyway, I'm going to mute myself in the Zoom and take my headphones off and listen while Elizabeth talks. And I watch only in Brand Live just to make sure that the captions are making sense there. And then I'll come right back. Okay, so because it's actually only a few second delay, which is good. So I should be able to come back quickly.
Are you
Elizabeth,
ready for me now?
Yeah, resume whenever you'd like.
Well, I just got most excited because I finished the most recent episode of Boba Fett and they played the Mandalorian music at the end of it. And I jumped off my couch in excitement. And I wonder how this is captioning through. And let me know if you want me to keep talking.
Yeah, so when I went back to Brand Live, this may be a Mac issue for me. I can't control the volume on my Mac. So when I press volume up, it has like a circle and a line. You know what? I think it doesn't know where to put the volume. Hold on, let me tell it. How do I get to like the volume on a Mac where I can tell it like which speaker to use?
On your taskbar, there should be a speaker on the top level menu of your Mac. If not, you can go into system preferences and tweak some input outputs, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I don't have a speaker up there, so I'll go to system preferences.
And sound,
Is there when you go to the bottom, you're supposed to see your taskbar, right? But normally, oh no.
It can be solid, it can be static, or it can be dynamic based on a mouse hover.
So mine is dynamic, but how do when I go to the bottom, it doesn't show up. I mean, eventually it does. Like if I just keep moving around down there, eventually it pops up. But is there like a trick to getting it to pop up right away?
Go under system preferences, top row, dock and menu bar. And I haven't messed with mine in a while just because I like the way it does. You can, of course, position it, its size, how magnified it is.
I just want it to pop up.
What's up with your automatically hide and show the dock toggle?
It's not checked. Should it be checked?
No, mine is not, but I believe mine is up all the time. I just like mine up. What about if you went with always a static one, but just minimize the size of it?
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. So I just do.
Oh Lord, it has been a while. The automatically hide and show. Oh no, you're not selected on that. And you and I can. I'm happy to play with this with you later if you want to.
All right, I can leave it alone for now. I'll just try to find my sound. All right, I found the sound, and then. Oh, I see. You can always show sound in menu bar. Okay.
Yeah. Make sure that's checked, and then you'll get the sound tweaks on the fly.
There we go. Okay. I'm muting and just keep talking. I'm listening to Brand Live.
Okay. Let's see what else with the sound for Macs. And now that I'm Bluetooth with several things, one thing I'm working on recently with Macs is what Bluetooth sound object it grabs automatically when I don't necessarily want it to. But so far that's been good. And it says we can keep talking amongst ourselves, meaning you want someone else in the Zoom to talk with me as well, as if we're two presenters having some banter, maybe. Maybe, oh, Kevin's unmuted. Maybe Kevin wants to say something.
Well,
this morning.
I feel the end music of Boba Fett was derivative.
You are so wrong.
I was blowing my nose. Elizabeth, it's great to see your face.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. I've always been willing to show up, but y'all are so video off. I'm like, I guess I'll be like the group and never show my face. So there. There's Kevin.
Kevin.
All right.
All right.
So hello,
I'll do
fellow
it.
presenters. Fellow presenters, what do you think about the CARES Act and how it will benefit us in the future? Or maybe we shouldn't be so specific because that might go out in somewhere in the real world and we'll get in trouble. How about this, Kevin?
Yeah,
What
I don't
is
have
your
much to
feeling
say.
on Tom Brady and his transfer from the Pats? Because that has been on my mind for a long, long time about you.
Yeah, that's okay. It was bound to happen.
Would you have rather seen him with the Saints? And again, I don't follow NFL at all, but I had a very nice chat with a Delta employee the other night on the phone for 3 hours, and it came up because he's in Tampa.
That sounds like miserable to be on the phone with a Delta employee for 3 hours. I'm sorry you had to do that.
He was lovely. The work was not. And FYI, he's running Windows 8, and he swears to me he was running 8 gigs of RAM trying to chug out flight information. It was horrible for me. And I told him to tell Delta to spend that fat money on hardware and software upgrades ASAP.
When did Windows 8 come out? Is that like a 2012 thing?
I've left the professional Windows world a while ago.
Well, I was reading today about Tom Brady and how he's going to take at least a month or two off from everything whenever their playoff ends to decide if he's going to go back the third year or not. But I think that's just, talk.
Would it be third year at Tampa, or maybe he would consider retirement?
Well, he has a 3-year contract with Tampa, and he's in year 2 of it. So they're all speculating that, if he goes back-to-back Super Bowl, he might go off on a high, blah, 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 blah. But Kevin's the expert on Tom Brady.
No, I've given up.
Given up being the expert?
Yeah, I quit. That's fine. When Tom Brady's not on your team, it's just not even worth rooting for the NFL following the NFL anymore. He's just going to come and win all of his Super Bowls, no matter where he's at.
It was nice to see San Francisco come back in the final last night.
I did enjoy seeing Aaron Rodgers lose. That's very true.
Especially since they were in like the home weather, we're going to be so much better because San Francisco doesn't know how to play in snow.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. It was a crazy day of football yesterday.
I did not follow. I've really cut out college football since my boys are now 14 and 10 because I really don't want them to see me all hyped up about it because I really don't want them to play. And they really haven't here, but they wouldn't have been able.
Real quick, while you, Kevin, and I are available for our 2 sessions tomorrow, Housing Models Part A and Part B. It's the same people for both sessions, but we will have to go out of the first webinar and go back into the second webinar because I have 2 webinars scheduled.
Yes.
Now, do you have 2 Slidos? Do you have a Slido for each one?
Those kinds of sessions, when there's an A and a B, they only have 1 Slido, but they have 2 Zooms. And so the Slido feed that gets put into Brand Live for both sessions will be the same Slido.
Okay. And I haven't received the share yet for that.
I'm gonna pull that up right now. That was Housing Models Parts 1 and 2, right?
Correct.
Let me double check.
And so from what Mark just said, they're expecting us to share our Slido screen of results.
Where was that? Where did Mark say that?
Mark and I were talking earlier because I read over the Cognito form they sent, where she says that we'll be doing our PowerPoint presentation. And then they said basically that they had noted, 1 second while I find it. We will handle some screen sharing, but need SIDEM to handle some screen sharing also. So Mark said that they were expecting us to share Slido results screen.
Interesting.
So basically,
So
I guess
Stefan,
they,
I do see you as like uh
what is that one called?
housing models part 1 and 2, right? That's the one
Yes.
you.
Yes,
Yeah,
basically, they want us to share the results at some point of the polls because the main presenter who's doing screen sharing is not willing to have a second device or screen or window.
right.
And so we just need to be ready to, like, basically, rather than say to him verbally in the middle of the session, here are the results of the poll. Question A, 21%, right? We're just gonna, if he's like, and now let's see the results, then we just start screen sharing the results.
So I'll just have the attendee screen essentially pulled up.
So you can
And
use
share
what we
that.
call present mode, right? So let me just pull up
You would just, one of us would just need to share the Slido results.
right. He's saying
from
what
the Slido program.
right. He's asking what view to use because I don't use the attendee view because it looks bad. I use the present now.
Yep, I see it. I see it, Mark.
So that's
right.
all.
When you have the event pulled up in Slido, yeah, there's a very nice, obvious present button up at the top.
Yeah,
So.
and you can present a new tab or whatever, and then so here I'm in Zoom. By the way, I was being an absolute moron, and the reason that I could not delay the captions is that I clicked on the wrong sync words window, and I was delaying the captions more and more and more, but for an event that we're not in. And so that's why it wasn't changing anything. And as soon as I went back to the correct window and I just delayed them by 2 seconds, instantaneously they were delayed by 2 seconds and everything worked. So no issues whatsoever with sync words, unless of course there's user error. So we'll try to avoid that. So now you guys see the Zoom, right?
Yeah, that's the old,
I mean
right?
the Slido in Zoom.
The housing model.
Yeah. But this is the one that's up on Brand Live right now. So that's why I chose it. Because like if you're in Brand Live watching this caption test, this is the Slido that's relevant to that. So, and Kevin, one thing to note, if you are going to use the present mode, then it actually does make sense to put up the image, right? It won't appear in the widget, but if you're going to use present mode to show everyone in the screen, then I think you want to put a logo in the way I did here. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Like it's irrelevant if you're using the widget, but it's very relevant if you're using present mode.
Right. Do you have that logo?
Yeah,
Can you just send
course.
it to me, and then I'll throw it up. Can you send it to Missy and I?
Yeah. I've just gotten a few emails.
Make sure I get the logo too, Mark.
Yep.
Thank you.
Please do. Why not?
Yeah, I'm just gonna reply to one of my messages to all of you.
Sorry, what were we doing with this logo? I missed that.
We are putting it in Slido whenever we are going to use present mode.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're looking in,
I was sorry, I was trying to log into Slido. That's why I wasn't totally.
Yeah, no problem. So if you're looking in Zoom or in Brand Live right now, you should be seeing the Slido screen. And in the top left, you should be seeing the CARES Act logo. And what I was saying is whenever we're using present mode, then it does make sense to add this logo in Slido. And I believe I used this 50% version that I just sent to you all because it fit better in Slido, if I remember correctly. I think they had like a file size limit or something.
And I'm sorry, but Mark, you had already, I mean, I basically copied, when I created all of the Slidos, I used the template that you had created initially with the colors and the logo. So then all the Slidos that I
So you already have the
should
logo
be.
in all of yours.
I believe so.
Great.
I should. Do you want to share one of the ones that I created?
Sure.
Just Pat.
So I'm going to one that Missy created and presenting it. But there's no questions up, so let me.
Oh, yeah. Right. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm just.
No, never
It
mind. I
doesn't-
can check afterwards. It's okay. Sorry.
Well, but it does show the logo, so you have that. But it
Okay.
doesn't show any. But it's fine. I mean, yes, the point that you were making is that you already did logos, and you did, and that's great. Kevin, one small note, you may want to remember to have only one browser tab open while you're sharing, because it shares in Zoom, it'll share your whole, unless
So
you have it.
you can present in full screen, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I've presented in full screen. I usually do it via PowerPoint, but you can just click toggle the full screen button. So that should be what we do. You're right.
Here, I'm just gonna try it real quick.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna look and see if I
Mark,
can
sorry,
get.
can you enable screen sharing?
Yeah, I don't know why it's disabled by default. I find that very frustrating. Like there's not a setting when you go to, it must be an account level setting or something. Because when you go to change it on the webinar, it doesn't let you.
How does that look?
Perfect.
And then one quick question. So over here, it's like, I don't think I actually turned this poll on, but when you present it, does it like automatically?
It shouldn't.
Okay, maybe.
Try, yeah, go back to admin, stop it, and then go to present again and see what happens. Okay, good.
Then like if you choose one through that drop down, it automatically, I mean, you can stop it, but.
Right. I mean, if you're changing the poll, it's assuming that the reason you're changing the poll is to open the poll. So otherwise, just don't change it is my best suggestion. What happens if you click showing Q&A? Does it? I don't know why that's. Is it just because there's no questions yet? Is that why?
So yeah,
Yeah, it was because there were no questions yet. So like if you click show Q&A and there's a question, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then it'll show the actual questions. That's all. That's good. It's working fine. I just forgot that you were in one with no questions currently, which you should be, because there's it'd be bad if there were questions already. Okay. So let me. Yeah.
Oh, right. So, and if you're, sorry, Mark. Yeah, right. So if you are not sharing any polls, then it automatically defaults to showing the Q&A.
Or just
Right,
the
so
basic where to join Slido for this session.
Let me try, because here I have one that has both polls and questions, so we can opt for that route for now.
And Kevin, just FYI, the housing one is the only one I'm not showing you adding me to.
So so Mark had created that one. So Mark shared it with you, but I show you as
Mark shared it with me. Oh, I see it. I see it now. Okay, great. Never mind. Cool. Okay. Thank y'all.
So yeah, Kevin, if you disable all the polls and ideas, then the only thing you can present is Q&A, which I guess makes sense.
Right.
And so if they don't want polls, ideas, or Q&A being shown, then we just stop screen sharing.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't ask us to screen share if they're not, right? So yeah,
Right. In
Okay.
other words, if they say like, okay, we're done with the poll, then we would just stop sharing
yes.
as opposed to stopping the poll. So, okay, captions are working now. Slido is working now. The only other thing I need to look at is how do we disable the word Zoom in the bottom right?
And just to repeat, you had to actually do something to make the Zoom room show up in the specified brand live session on Restream. And we'll have to do that each session, Mark. Is that correct?
No.
No.
So what you have to do is in Zoom, even though you are already set up. So I've already set up before you enter the Zoom room at 8:30 tomorrow or whenever else, your RTMP details will already be inserted for you. I will do that.
Okay.
But even though the details are ready, it doesn't, when you start webinar, it starts the Zoom webinar. It does not start the live stream. So you have to then go in and start the live stream yourself. But that's in Zoom. That's not in Restream. Restream will do it automatically. I've got that set up to do it automatically.
So we start the webinar and then
you go live. Like so let me go back to Zoom. Hold on. Sorry, I was
right. I know where we're in. We're sort of like in a practice session, and then you click the little red button, go live.
No. So you click, I think it's a blue button at the top that says start webinar.
Yes.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is if you go to the bottom menu where you have like share screen and live transcript, do you also have a button with 3 dots that says more?
No, I don't, but it's probably, no, I don't.
Okay, maybe it's just because you are the co-host and not the host. So let me switch you to the host.
Okay, now I have the more button.
Okay.
And I see stop live stream. So basically I would have to go to the more button and it's very specific, start live stream.
It actually gives you 4 options. Okay. And the one that you want to choose is custom live streaming service.
Okay.
The other ones you'll know are wrong because it'll say like Facebook, YouTube. You know that we're not doing that. So just go to custom.
Okay.
Custom live streaming service.
And I'm going to remake you the host. And I'm no longer a co-host.
Oh, I can change that here. I got you. I think I can change that. I think you made event support the host. I'm
sorry.
Event support is Linnell.
Oh, Linnell, I made you host, make Mark the host. Sorry.
All right, now I'm making everyone a co-host. I do wish co-hosts could make people co-hosts, but whatever. Okay, so now we're all co-hosts. Stefan, you know what to do. And for everyone else, if Stefan has to drop off, if I have to drop off and you become the host, it's just under the more menu. So at the bottom of your screen where you see your controls like share screen, the one all the way on the right will say more. And then you will have the option to, it'll say live on custom live streaming service. And you just select that and then you're live on the custom live streaming service. And everyone else will know because there'll be a pop-up for the other people that will say like, this is now streaming live or whatever.
We don't have that more right now because we are not hosts. Only the host has the more.
That's right. That's right.
So when that happens, will we have to then input other information or is that already set up?
I will set it up before each day I will set up the RTMPs for that day. The reason it doesn't get set up in advance is because, well, I'll set it up in Zoom in advance actually. So you're good there. Yes, Zoom will be set up in advance. It's only each day in Restream I have to go in and change the destinations for the day, but that's not a problem.
And we may have to go into sync and play around with the speed.
So if you're talking about the captions, let me
Yeah.
show you what I did. Because I suspect it will always be the same. Obviously, I don't know it will always be the same, but I suspect it will always be the same. So let me show you what I suggest by sharing my screen. So this one, actually, I think everyone really should pay attention because I don't know who will need it.
Mark, I'm not seeing your screen. If we should, okay, never mind. Sorry, there we go.
I just hadn't
Sorry.
pressed the button. So here is sync words. Obviously, you have to click the right event. That's particularly important. And then when you are looking at this, this will already be set up. You don't have to touch anything.
Mhm.
So you go to settings.
Okay.
Now there's two different things, and I want to be as clear and specific as possible. Do not change the latency, change the delay. So latency is will be set to 3. Leave it as 3. And then go to the delay and change it to 2. If that doesn't work, meaning if it's like still off, obviously you can go to 1 or 3 or 5 or whatever, but it does have to be, a whole number.
Sorry, Mark, where was the, I know it's do not touch, but like the latency is where?
Below
on the
source
bottom.
language. So disable engine, sorry, I pressed disable. Disable engine source latency.
Okay, I think it's below. I think it's below where the. Okay, there. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry. It was
So
Sorry.
below where the
basically,
screen
we're
showed.
just playing with delay captions. We change the timing, then we click save, and then it takes a
Exactly.
few moments to adjust.
But it's very fast. I mean, like if you press delay as 2 seconds, within 2 seconds, it's delayed. Like it does not take a lot of time for it to adjust, which is why you can do it in the middle of a session, right? So if what you're noticing is like maybe Zoom for whatever reason is suddenly a little bit faster and you need to go down to 1 second, that's fine.
Okay.
And you can do it anytime during the session. I think 2 is probably good. 1 is okay. I had it set to 1 for a second while Elizabeth was talking, and it was like real time. Like as she spoke the word.
Right. It was like a
there.
split of hair above. I saw that. Okay.
And
Great.
so I changed it to 2, and now it's like more as if someone is actually typing the captions right after she says whatever she says. Or
For captioning, if we don't see captions happen and we go in and we don't see connected success, we have your stream. What is the protocol?
You can tell me and I can take a look. There are not a lot of things that I'm changing that could cause that issue. So in all likelihood, if that's what you see, it is that, let's say it's user error first, and the user, of course, then would be me. If it's user error, it's probably that Restream is not sending the signal to the right place. So in all likelihood, I mean, there's let me step back a step. We're in Zoom. Zoom goes to Restream via RTMP, real-time messaging protocol. Restream then takes that feed and it goes out to multiple sources at the same time. It multi-streams to SyncWords and BrandLive. So the first place that there could be a problem is if Zoom is not going to Restream. So you can go to restream.io and make sure. So I'll show you what my Restream looks like. So you see how right here it already pops up. So that means that I know this is working. In other words, like this wouldn't be here if Zoom weren't broadcasting to Restream. So that's the first sort of connecting piece that could result in user error, right? Then the next piece, if Restream is set up and working perfectly, the next piece is that Restream's signal out to SyncWords is wrong. And so the way you would access that is, again, pencil icon in Restream, and you look at the destinations, And if one of them says sync words, and I've made it the first word in every time so that, it's easier to know, then what you can do is add a channel, and then you would redo the sync words, to be correct. So right now it's already correct, but I'll show you how to redo it. I really
But
don't
if we're
like-
live during a session,
Yes.
you'll be the first person to deal with this.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to show people how to do it so that you can do it for yourselves. But if that doesn't work, then yeah, I guess you got to go to me.
Okay.
I don't know who else you could go to, because the only SIDEM people would be able to help with this. There's not like a restream person we could contact.
So like right now, I'm in Restream, and I have 2 events in my Restream.
Okay.
Part 1 and part 2 of the housing modules.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So basically, you're clicked on to the test event.
Right. We're currently live in the test event,
Okay.
and that's what you're looking at on my screen share.
Okay.
But what I'm showing you is like, okay, so let's say you have a problem, right? And it's not going to sync words. It is going to Brand Live, let's just say for a second, right? So this one, you see this is toggled. This is good. Brand Live is receiving the signal. We're all set up. But you're not seeing the captions. You press show captions, there's nothing there. Sync words isn't receiving the signal. So
And Mark, sorry, you would know that Brand Live is receiving this signal. Obviously, if that's toggled on, but basically, then if like the video showing up in Brand Live, but there's
that's
just
the
no
only way you'll
caption.
know. Yeah.
Right.
I'm talking about like you are in Brand Live and you're seeing the video feed, but you're not seeing the captions.
Okay.
So then there's I mean, I'm just showing. I don't know if I should show this or not. I'm just trying to show you where the.
No, I think this is necessary. I think this is great. I just wanted to confirm how we would like the scenario we're talking about right now.
I think the only thing I know you can do is to go to Brand Live and view the session.
Yeah.
Because
No, this is great.
Doesn't tell you.
Yeah, this is great. I think and I don't know if Stefan feels the same way, but like right up until now, I had no idea like where to go and edit any of this stuff, right? If we have issues. So I think I would say continue on what you're doing, because I think this is really important for us to know.
So this tells you that I set up something. It doesn't tell you that it's correct. Same here. So if you're in Brand Live and you're not seeing what you're supposed to see, if you're in sync words and you're not seeing what you're supposed to see, then you can toggle this off and add a new channel. And when you add a new channel, you're always adding custom RTMP. We are not messing around with any of these live streaming services. So we just go to RTMP. And it's only going to ask you for the URL and the stream key. You will get both from sync words. So here's sync words. And if you click on info, here's the RTMP. So
the URL and the key are right there.
Right. This is the URL. This is the key. This button allows you to copy. So you copy, and then you go back and you put in the URL. Then you go back, you copy the key, you put in the key. And then you press add channel. Now I already added this channel because this is working, but that's what you would do, right? And the only thing you can check is when you are in sync words, just make sure it's the right event. I know probably I'm the only person who would forget to check that and then set everything up incorrectly, but just check to make sure this is the right event. And then if you don't see connected, then obviously you have a problem and you just need to put these details here. So the URL and the key, you need to put these 2 details into Restream and then come back to sync words and you should see connected success.
And if you click that link that's the captions page, that will then pop up a browser window
with the captions.
With the captions, and that's just another way to verify that, like where the problem is in the.
So this and this are the same in the sense that, like so this exists so that a widget can exist, right? So like in the same way that Slido existing separately allows you to have the Slido widget, the captions existing separately here, this allows you to have a widget of this. Now, similar to Slido, you have more options here than you do in the widget, but you can edit the widget options separately here when you go to widget and then open widget editor. So you still have the ability to edit the widget, but because you're talking about accessibility, I figured black text, white background, hard to beat that. So I didn't do too much editing. The only thing that I edit is the button color and everything else. Oh, and the border color I made white because by default it's orange because SyncWords is orange. And even though SIDEM is basically the same orange, I figured better to do white. So that's it. I mean, this stuff you don't even have to change, right? It all looks fine. I guess actually that is a good point. Should we pull the padding down? No, not X padding. Come on, Mark. We'll pull the Y padding a little bit. Maybe. You can play with it if you want. I can play with it. I mean, I'm the one setting it up. But this is really, if you have something that you need to change, this is where you would change it. That's all I should say.
So I just have a quick question too about SyncWords.
Okay.
Because I went to SyncWords to make sure I could get to like the housing models and look at info. And then I just happened to glance at settings. And right now my delay captions and settings is set for 0 seconds. Should I go ahead and set it at something before the session starts as a default, or is the default always going to be 0 at the beginning?
So the default is always 0, but I'm setting up all the SyncWords and I'm going to set them all up with 2. And then I think because we're using 2, I didn't know the answer until the testing, right? So that's why nothing has changed yet. But now that we've tested and I think 2 is probably going to be good, I will set them all up with 2. And then if it's not good, then that's how you'd go in and change it. Because there may be some differential, you know, some differences between one session and another. I can't promise that they'll all be identical. So, but yeah, now you know how to change it.
Elizabeth, did you want to jump in?
I know Stephen always calls me the teacher's pet anyway. Yes, my hand was raised on purpose. All right, Mark, when you went to that part where, let's say that channel is malfunctioning and you were showing how to add another one.
So you'd go in to here you are in Restream. You see that Restream is working. So that's clearly not causing a problem. So then you're going to
Pencil icon, right?
click the pencil icon to edit it. And then you get
And pause right there. So you said before you go to add the channel, go ahead and toggle it off. What happens if you don't toggle off before you add a channel? Or does it matter?
It continues to broadcast somewhere that's useless. And I don't remember how many we have. I mean, I'm sure it's more than 3. I think it's 10 we can simultaneously. No, it might be 30 now. I don't remember. We have a limit to how many we can simultaneously broadcast to. I forget what the limit is. But the reason I said toggle it off is because it's not doing anything. So you don't want to get confused. If you're going to have 2 that say SyncWords and they're both on, you might forget which one is right and which one is wrong. So I was saying toggle it off, and then you know, like, okay, that one is useless. I'm gonna not use it, and I'll toggle on the other one. That was my thinking.
And real quick,
Cool.
Can you close out of the edit event and show me where the edit button is again?
Yeah, so there's a pencil icon.
Oh, down there.
every
Okay,
event.
it's
Yeah.
down there. Okay, cool. I was looking in the wrong area. Thank you.
And you can always go to edit destinations separately in Restream,
okay.
and then just do whatever you want. So for example, are we using USGS with Vimeo right now? I would say no, we're not. So you can change this. Like, in other words, instead of adding a new destination, you can just edit an existing destination that we're not using.
So if I clicked
You would all
into an
tempted
event, if I clicked into one of my housing models event right now,
Mhm.
and I don't touch anything, that's okay. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, you can always click in. I mean, as you mentioned, probably don't want to change the settings right now, but you can always click in.
And to click into the event, do I go to RMTP settings or?
No, use the pencil icon.
Oh, still, because right now I see 2 events. So I just click on the pencil.
And then that shows you what's going on with that event. RTMP settings, what this does is it allows you to to tell the Zoom or OBS or whatever you're streaming from, it allows you to tell it how to get it into Restream. Right? Because like something has to go in first and then it can go out. And so like Restream has its own studio, and then you can use your own studio that you maybe have on your desktop, like OBS or vMix. You can just do a straight video file if you have like the whole thing recorded already, or you can just record something. So those are your options, right? If you want to go in via RTMP, you click RTMP settings, and then you just take the URL and the key, and then you put them into wherever, in our case, Zoom.
And then my last question regarding sync words, is there a troubleshooting phone number for sync that we should call, or if it's like beyond, you know, something like just testing how we set everything up? What should be the process? Not that I'm assuming anything's going to happen, but just worst case.
Right. I mean, I can give you my contact's phone number. I don't have anything really better than that. I don't have like a 24/7, you know, live help thing. To my knowledge, they don't do that for the ASR, the automatic speech recognition.
Mm-hmm.
But I can ask him. I mean, I've never had anything like that happen where I needed him immediately. Oh, sorry, I accidentally pressed the plus button. There's no plus, in case you didn't realize, in his phone number. So it's just 718-784-0126. So that's how I get in touch with Len. But I mean, this is all automated. So if there's a problem, he wouldn't be able to do anything we couldn't do, but he could at least flag it for his team to look at. I don't know. I'll have to ask. I'll have to ask him what happens if all of a sudden everything goes to shit and there's no captions.
But if there is an issue, it's 99.9% that it's something on our side, right? Because it's all
I mean,
automated.
From what he's said, like they don't have a lot of those issues. So it's probably a user error. But of course, that doesn't mean they're perfect. I mean, no one is literally perfect. So it's technically possible they could have a problem, and we would want to alert him to that. I think on the short-term front, like, okay, we've done everything we can do. We've double-checked it. Everything is set up perfectly, and captions just aren't happening. Stefan, I would then enable live transcript, because if you do that, so I just did that. I know only the host can do that. But if you do that, and then you look in Brand Live, now you're seeing the captions in Brand Live.
Yeah. Okay.
So as an emergency backup, we can always force the captions on everyone.
What about the idea of disseminating the? I guess, can we disseminate the sync words that captions link?
Okay, so let's back up a step. It depends what the issue is. I was interpreting Stefan's question to mean you go to sync words and it says it's not connected, and you checked everything and it's just not recognizing the signal, even though everything that you know of is perfect. Then I think we contact Len. If what you're seeing is I go to sync words and everything's connected, but it's not in Brand Live, that's also user error, but a different user error. So I'll show you how to do that. So again, the page exists in order for the widget to exist. But then, of course, you have to depend on the end user to copy and paste the correct text into the correct area in order for the widget to appear. So let's go to.
Are you still screen sharing? Because I'm not seeing anything.
No,
or maybe you weren't supposed to be.
No, I'm not. I just need to pull it up and then I'll screen share again. So hold on one second.
Mark, while you do that, Stefan, your login, what are you using to log into sync words? Should you and I be using the same? Is that one of the event support accounts?
But you should all have your own login for sync words and should be a part of our team. So everyone should have access to everything in sync words. So I don't think you need a separate, like we don't have to share the event support login there. Kevin, when you log into SyncWords, do you see the current session?
So I'm having trouble logging into SyncWords, which is why I was.
Oh, let me see if I can help you with that. Hold on. I might be able to help you.
Let me just try this real quick.
Yeah, I just see 3 events in SyncWords.
Right. Those are the only ones that are saved.
Okay.
So that's correct for now. So Kevin, you are listed. Let me see if I can.
Because I got a link from you yesterday. I thought that I clicked it and like set up the account and stuff, but then when I tried to use the password that was saved in Chrome, it didn't work. And then when I went to click on the
All right,
link that I got, yeah.
What do you go to when you go to log in? Are you using, I'm going to paste something into the Zoom chat for you. Are you using this link to log in?
I was just at cms.syncwords.com.
I don't know for sure, but try this one.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, should we have just one chat for all 6 of us, or should each team have their own chat? And if we need to get to you, Mark, just chat with you individually.
So I think that because there will be a decent number of moving parts in terms of Zoom, Restream, Brand Live, SyncWords, and Slido, I think each of our teams should do everything we can to manage things for ourselves and communicate amongst ourselves. I think it could be overwhelming to try to manage all 5 of those things times 2 simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best thing is communicate internally. And then if you need something else, definitely send me a text message or something, and I will tell, or text all of us or whatever, that's fine too. But basically, if you need me, then either Missy or Linnell will have to take over for a few minutes while I come and address your need, and then I'll come back to that session.
Okay. And I'm sure, knock wood, that's not going to happen, but I just want to, these are just questions popping in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we just need to do everything we can to get into each session as early as possible, understanding if it starts at 11:15 and the previous one ends at 11, there's not much time, but just get into the next session as early as possible. And I'll check everything on every session for the day before we begin in terms of Restream and Brand Live and SyncWords and all of that. And it should all be 100% set up before 8 a.m. every day for the entire day for both of us, Stefan. So, I mean, ideally, I'll say this. I set everything up for this session without checking anything, and everything was right. So it's not like, it's not that complicated of a process. I think we can do it as long as we're double checking it every morning. I think we can get everything set for the day. And what is more concerning to me is like just being in the Zoom and listening attentively in the Zoom to what's going on, and being ready to address speaker needs. Because the speakers, not all of them attended training. Nobody's watched the speaker video, the speaker training video. There's a lot that I'm guessing people are not gonna know. And then we'll start and they'll be fumbling around, and we'll just have to be, I think the number one thing we're going to have to know in live time is Zoom, right? And then I guess Slido, because that's what their questions will be about, will be Zoom and Slido.
Okay. Just FYI, Brand Live is fuzzy. Oh, now it's clear.
It's clear for me the whole time. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, that's weird. It got fuzzy for me on one of my computers.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know enough about how their technology works, and
that might have been me.
Yeah, it could just be a personal connection, because I'm sure you're running a lot of different things simultaneously.
Your equipment's old.
Or that. Okay, so let's just focus for a second. Actually, no, sorry, Elizabeth, I was about to show you something, and I'll do that now. So what I was going to show is in Brand Live, how do you change captioning? So All right, I'm sharing now. So here in the Brand Live editor, if what you're seeing is the captions are functioning correctly in sync words, but they're not appearing here in Brand Live, the reason for that in all likelihood is that the widget is incorrect. So what you're going to do is you're going to click the pencil icon here above the widget, and you should see two iframes back to back, right? So here's the first one. You can tell because of the open and close. That's the first iframe. One thing to note about an iframe, very simple, hard to mess up. It always starts with the word iframe and it always ends with the word iframe. So that's how you know where you are, right? It always starts with open or less than sign, then iframe, and it always ends with iframe and then greater than sign. So I have two iframes back to back. This one, as you can see, is sync words. This one, as you can see, is Slido. And the other things that could be changed are the heights. In this case, I have the minimum height set to 560. That's the default for Slido. In this, I have it set to 225. I've actually seen different ones for some reason in sync words. So it must be that I made a change in the widget editor and then forgot about it. Oh, crap. Cancel. So I accidentally edited it. Anyway, but those are the only two things I've been editing. Other than the heights, everything else is the same and doesn't need to be edited here. The editing happens before it goes to the page that you're then inserting via iframe. So that way, like, instead of trying to create your own complex code to say what to do with a page, you edit the page, and then when you put it in via iframe, it's already perfect. So that's the only thing that you would edit is the heights. So you should see just two iframes back to back, one for sync words, one for Slido. I'm canceling because it's already fine here. If there's a problem, what I would recommend is wholesale change the sync words iframe. So let's click in, widget, iframe widget, copy iframe code, and then go back to Brand Live, edit, and then take this whole code and edit it. And that's it.
Can you show me, can you say where to find that again in sync words, Mark?
Yep. So you're normally going to default to this info tab.
Right.
You're going to instead click widget.
Right.
And it'll default to embed. You're going to click iframe widget, copy iframe code. And then you go back to Brand Live, pencil. And again, you know it ends because it's iframe and then greater than sign. So this whole thing is the sync words iframe code. And then you just paste it.
Yeah,
in this case, it's the
two
same.
things on that. One is, Kevin, I love code and I've worked with iframes. So just so you and Stefan know, I've got some comfort there. But two, isn't there an issue, Mark, with it saying a duplicated iframe that the closure iframe, you didn't highlight it as well when you pasted that updated code?
But I did. I mean, so
Yep.
this is the
Doesn't
first.
it say iframe?
Yeah, this is the next one. See, the less than sign opens the next iframe.
Right. Oh, that's the bracket for the next line. My bad. Okay. And they won't let you clean up that, even though it won't affect the coding, but where you can get a break in that coding between the opening for the new frame.
Yeah, you can press enter,
No.
but then it's going to create padding.
Oh, it does? Oh, because
Yeah.
it's not true code, really.
Right. I mean, it's
true code shouldn't.
you
do
don't
that.
actually own this. It's just yeah. This is how it inserts. I mean, like here, right? If I do this,
So if you page break without writing page break,
Now
it
you see
page breaks it or bumps it.
right, every time
that's-
I hit
Okay.
a hard return, it creates a little bit of padding, just because that makes it easier for the end users. Now, maybe that's not,
yeah.
if you're someone who plays with code normally, the
I don't like
real,
it.
the real editing would come in via CSS typically. because you can do that on here as well. Anyway.
Copy.
I mean,
And did one final question on that. When you went at first to this captions widget within the admin of Brand Live and you clicked the edit button, you mentioned that the height could be changed. Did you really mean right there within that? It could be changed, or you could just go back to the editor and clean it up and repaste it.
Just right here.
It will respond. It'll respond to that right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I make this, 500 pixels instead,
It'll take it. Okay.
you'll
Thanks
see
for that
there's now a huge
clarification.
gap here. A problem is that because none of this is really designed to work specifically with Brand Live, you don't have the ability to make the two responsive with one another. So if you tighten up the spacing between show captions and Slido, then when you show captions, it puts them below the Slido widget. So it's just unfortunate, but it is what it is.
This is an aside, Mark, but I did notice that on the Brand Live page, when there's an active video playing and you scroll down to that like Slido widget, the video kind of comes with you. And you probably knew that, but I was just earlier when we were like last 2 days when we were talking about the concern that people wouldn't be able to see the video and respond to polls or whatever.
Right, the video goes in as like a new window, basically a pop-up window. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's best for different people. It's very hard for me to say because I'm such a different user, but hopefully what we have set up is good enough for most people. That's kind of all I can say at this point.
Yeah. I think for me, it was a potentially pleasant surprise just to be able to say, oh no, you can, while you're typing your question, you can still watch the presentation, right? Like that's.
But it's very small, so you can't read the text. I mean, again, I'm thinking of like Joe Schmo with one 13-inch monitor on their laptop, and then the presentation is from, you see the presenters we normally have clearly have no idea how to present anything, and there's like 20 bullets, and each one is like a full sentence. When your monitor is small, and there's tons of text, and then it puts it into a tiny little window in the corner, then I'm just sure people will be like, I can't read anything. Anyway, people are just generally
not worried about it.
We will hope for the best. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm still trying to figure out, I know I did it for USGS, so I'm pretty sure I can do it again, but I just want to get rid of that Zoom watermark for the webinar, and I forget how to do that. I think it's in branding. Have you guys done this? Do you remember how to do this? If not, I'll just figure it out.
That I haven't played with, but if you don't, would be glad to figure it out again. Well, I won't mess up your agenda. I'm piling up some questions though.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. When you were in the Restream editor and talked about destinations, and we talk off and on, and you mentioned your USGS one, is there any benefit to, I think I saw, but it might have been disabled, the ability to remove a destination? Or is there any value in cleaning up destinations within that platform that aren't necessary for either current or future events?
The only ones that you'll see for the day, if you go into Restream, will be the ones for that day. So you won't see any other options other than what you can use for that day. You may see the SIDEM YouTube as well, but I usually just go there anyway as like an emergency backup recording. I just do it unlisted, so it's not, no one will know about it. But.
While we've all been here and I've been trying to get on Brand Live and get into this meeting just to see it streamed, delay streamed, no matter what browser on 2 different computers I've used, I've told it I'm registered. I gave them my email address. They said, we'll send you a link, and I'm not getting anything. Does anybody else come into that problem?
So Kevin and I have talked about this. Are you 100% sure that info@brand.live can email you? Because a lot of people have different settings, and for some of them, they just basically filter out stuff like that. So what we put in the attendee guide is basically like, please make sure info@brand.live can email you. And if it can't, then that could be the issue. If it can, then I don't really know. I mean, the only thing that you could try is to register again. And if that's still not working, I don't have a third plan, unfortunately.
That's okay. It just made me think a little bit about the users and all the counts with Slido, but that's beyond the point. I've never had any issue with any emails getting into me. Of course, they might be in junk, but I'll make sure and add that username at that URL that it can send me stuff, and I will try again. And I know, Mark, since you're not a Mac lover, and a lot of people hate Safari, I default to Safari. It's been very weird. It's just a black screen when I go to Brand Live versus, at least with Chrome, I can see it and ask for it to submit the email back to me. But
do I have Safari if I have a Mac?
You do
or do I have to download it?
You do by default. If you removed it from your dock, it's still within applications, but I don't
get the dock up is the only thing I can. Oh, wait. Oh no, it disappeared. There it goes. Okay.
We'll work on that whenever you want today.
I got it. So Safari, yep, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to try to go to Brand Live on Safari.
I'll try again. And Stefan, what are you using for a browser on your Mac box?
I use Chrome.
Okay.
But basically, I'm only going to use Chrome tomorrow to monitor Brand Live. Everything else is going to be done on my Windows. But right now, I'm on Zoom on Chrome.
Yeah, I did it too. And at least it comes up on that. It just won't generate the email message. So that's good. And I know that most people say, well, just don't use Safari. And I doubt there'll be that many Safari users tomorrow. And I know that
with 5,000 people, somebody's going to be doing everything, right? So it's good to know what all the issues are.
Somebody's bringing out Opera on an old Windows NT box, I think.
I still use Opera. I like Opera a lot, actually. Oh,
really?
I use Opera, Brave, DuckDuckGo, Chrome, sometimes Edge, but that's mostly just for testing.
I thought DuckDuckGo was just a search engine. It's a browser as well.
So yeah, well, on some devices, it basically is like a different version of Chrome. It's like a skinned version of Chrome that has its own stuff built into it. So it's a search engine, it's a app privacy tool, it's an email privacy tool, and then it's also a browser at least on Android.
Basically within extensions of probably extensions from Chrome that let it happen.
I think they just use Chromium code to create their own thing for Android, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I'll get into my own Brand Live event, but just in terms of seeing it on different browsers and wonder what the heck. Is Brand Live supposed to be something that works on a tablet? Do y'all know?
Yes. Not with an app that I know of, although there is a Brand Live app. That's a good point. Should I just check that? Because I have not checked that. Someone with an iPhone want to pull up Brand Live also.
Yeah, because I tried it on just my iPad's browser and it also was a bomb, and it just made me curious if it's supposed to be tablet friendly as a URL on a browser, not an app within a tablet or any other handheld device.
I'm going to go to the browser now. Has anyone else used it on a phone or tablet with any success?
I was just going to try to go to it on my phone.
It's working on my phone. One thing to note is that our current live session is no longer, it's technically over. I know we're still going, but it's technically over.
Technically over on Zoom or on Brand Live?
Both actually, but yeah. I mean, it doesn't cut you off, right? Like if you're already in here, right, but it may be affecting our ability to find it in Brand Live if you don't already have a direct link. So let me pull the direct link and see if that helps. So yeah, if you have the direct link, it still works, but it doesn't show up in the agenda anymore. But I think that's because, I mean, it's not supposed to because it's before the event technically. So I wasn't concerned about it continuing to show up. But I'm in Safari and it's working. Let me try on my phone as well.
It could be that well, I got Chrome to show at least the registration page, but again, it won't let me in. So at least I can see it. But again, my iPad is a bit old and my kids play too many games on it. So it's just a junky extra piece of hardware that I can have as a backup. But my Safari on the iPad is not liking Brand Live at all.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look perfect on my phone, but I mean, that's not because like it works exactly right. The only thing is it looks a lot better in landscape orientation than in portrait. And it does not have the video follow me down the screen, at least on Android. But the captions work perfectly. The Slido works perfectly. The live stream's working perfectly. So, and the chat as well. Yeah.
So Mark, on my phone to find it, I just go to SIDEM.brand.live. Sorry.
Oh, you're going to need the direct link.
Oh, no,
You're
sorry.
gonna need the direct link.
Okay, I was typing in the wrong.
If you're looking for this exact session, at this point, you won't find it, so you need the direct link. So I'm forwarding it to you now.
No, I was really just looking for just to pull up the event page, SIDEM, but I was typing in the wrong URL, so that would do it.
Safari hates the site.
Interesting. I'm not having any issues in Safari. I mean, obviously I've only started using it like 10 seconds ago, but it's working as it should.
That's good,
for me.
though.
The video follows me down.
I'll dig on that later. And I just won't use Safari.
Well, I certainly hope if there is an issue that we can figure out what it was, because I mean, if you're having an issue, users will have the issue, right? It's just with this many people, every issue is bound to surface. Although,
and I was gonna say I'm OS updated on my laptop, but I don't know if I've done, well, that would include Safari. So never mind on that. All right.
It's updated on the operating system level.
Safari is because it's a built-in part of Mac OS. Yes.
Oh, wow.
At least it used to be.
Oh, I believe you. I don't know how it's set up. So I'm just trying to think about what information you need. So we've tested and things work. That's great. SyncWords works great. Zoom works great. Slido works great. Brand Live's working. I know I need to worry about the watermark. That's the other thing. Let me try to go back to that quickly because I think I should be able to do this. Oh, that's what I did. I did a very, very, very small
Black box.
like transparent watermark. Let me see if I can find it from before, because you can replace the watermark, but I don't think you can get rid of it. But if I remember correctly, for USGS, I just created a fake watermark that was like basically just transparency, and it worked okay. Let me see here.
What about annotation, where you annotate a black box over it? Will it stay until you clear all annotations? And that could happen at the host level.
Would people just see a black box? Sorry, this is a stupid question. Would people just see a
That's
black
what I
box?
thought too. I'm sorry. Maybe I just don't know how it works.
Oh, and I'm in, well, I don't know. I run dark mode all the time. So maybe because I'm in dark mode, I'm thinking black. But actually the annotations typically happen with a screen share, not necessarily with the video itself.
I mean, if you're looking
But when
in Brand
you
Live,
screen share and annotate, you could, whatever that share is, that color is that you could create. But again, I forgot that's for something shared amongst people that's being annotated.
But wouldn't they still see something? Like whatever
Well,
their screen
depending
sharing,
on
the annotation would overlay. No?
Yeah, it depends on the code for that little logo, huh? But again, it's related to screen sharing and not necessarily just a broadcast of what somebody's camera is showing on Zoom. So you're transparent, so you'll have to go.
I think the watermark would actually overlay over top of that anyway. So I'm going to try to find
Like
what
you're
I used
covering a
with.
bad tattoo, right?
In this case, I don't think you can. I think the tattoo is really, really there, and you have to like paint you have to re-tattoo yourself with the exact color of your skin, basically. So that's what I'm trying to do, but I have so many files from this event. Oh my gosh. Crap. I'll just make a new one. I don't remember what I used, but I don't have time to go through this because I don't remember where I saved it. Kevin, you don't remember this, do you?
I do not.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll figure something out. I'll just make a new one, I guess. So I think I did it in Illustrator.
And this isn't something I would see right now, correct? It's only once it
Oh, no, no,
streams
no.
through to the Brand Live event.
Right. It happens once they RTMP. So it's like it just says Zoom, but you can also create another one. And I think it will still say powered by Zoom, but smaller and lower. So I'm working on this now. I'm gonna let's do something that's only 100 by 100.
Well, you do that. I was going to ask Kevin and Stefan something, and it's really for the good of everyone. And if y'all don't want to do it, I'm cool with that. Part of me says, with all these multiple layers of things going on, and granted, I'm just there for Kevin and Stefan if they, just pass out and I've got to step up. And instead of Mark having you re-describe just this network of what's going on, I didn't know if Kevin or Stefan wanted to say, okay, here's what's happening in the most succinct way possible in terms of, like we're on Zoom, we're with panelists, or somebody has the ability to sketchpad and share and like do a flow chart. If no one's interested in anything like that, then I won't worry about it. But I just thought instead of Mark telling us again what's going on, knowing that at least my team kind of knows exactly what's going on.
I think between Kevin, me, and you, I'll be the primary contact, make sure everybody's good. I will make it my duty to share PowerPoints if we're sharing PowerPoints. Kevin will be back up for everything as well as sharing Slido results. And then
right, and I will plan to essentially be the Slido person, right? To advance the poll, to push the polls when we're supposed to push the polls, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth, I see your main role as monitoring the chat in the Brand Live Hub, which is not part of our Q&A, just to see if there's anything pertinent there that should be copied and pasted to the presenters, or if there's something we need to know. And again, Mark, this is a question for you. If we're getting a lot of chat of people complaining and stuff like that, I assume they have people they contact if they're having issues with Brand Live, and we don't need to concern ourselves about that primarily, or what?
I mean, depends on what the issue is.
Like if somebody says, I can't hear, or, I can't see the live stream, or, if it's stuff like, where's the Q&A? He's like, look below you. So like scroll down your screen, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going back from how we are when we do the IRS events, where basically, they're contacting the Reg team with all their inane questions.
So we'll definitely be getting questions or comments in the chat, right? Like I can't hear, like all that stuff. And then, I mean, I think we need to have some canned responses, just in terms of, please make sure your system volume is on. Please make sure the volume in the player is on. For more details, like, if you're still having issues with your volume, see the attendee guide, and then, located in the resources section, or, just those kinds of.
I don't know that I have an explanation of how to hear on the attendee guide. I kind of drew a line and felt like that was, I mean, it's already 8 pages, right? So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to try to address literally every possible issue with like, here's where your system volume is, because their system volume could be in a completely different place depending on their computer setup. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, no, and I think our responses to that are like, make sure you're like, just a general, make sure your system volume is up, and then also like make sure, like, just like what often happens, I feel like probably, is that people don't realize there's also a volume thing in the player window, right? Like, just like make sure your volume's up on your computer, on your system, as well as in the player. Just like something generic, inane like that. Like, we're not obviously able to troubleshoot systems for people, right? Like, they're whatever their own thing is.
Is Linnell the event support email?
I think that's something we have to discuss, like our plan for monitoring that.
I don't know that we have like
and
a
so-
concrete plan yet.
And last year when I helped Mark with NIST, when there were all these presenters that were simultaneous, and there were occasions where I didn't mind, and I could chat with them, right? Because we were within the ability to more directly chat that was somewhat private. And I don't think the Slido is going to give us the ability to chat privately with users, correct?
Well, Slido doesn't. Brand Live
Okay.
is well, they added a profile function to more or less nominally to enable that, but I don't know how to, I mean, like, their chat window does not include like send message privately. So what we would have to
Last
do,
year, I remember directing people. I could get them privately. They would give me their number. I actually called them directly, especially a presenter that was about to have trouble, and I troubleshot with them over the phone. And I'm willing to do that on a basis that's normal and healthy for the day. But I also don't think there's any private way to communicate like the details of how can I reach you so that we can get to this if needed. If all the other attempts they tried to fix their problem failed.
Not for attendees. Obviously, with speakers, we have the Zoom chat to do all that. That's private.
Right. For I was just going to say, we need to draw a line between presenters and attendees. Presenters, we can chat privately with, we can email privately, we can call them, whatever, it's fine. For attendees, although we can tell them, please email eventsupport@sidemgroup.com for, individual issues.
Then contact your IT person unless they're at home.
Right. I think it's important that we be mindful of like, okay, there's 5,000 attendees. If you can't figure out how to turn up your volume, we are not going to call you and ask you 60 questions to figure out like where your volume controls are, or like why you didn't plug in your headphones. Like, at a certain point, we just send them a message and we say, here are a few things to try. If none of these work for you, of course, we're genuinely sorry. Please contact your, IT department for additional assistance, as we cannot, possibly assist with every hypothetical computer setup. I mean, I don't, that those exact words are probably not correct, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, the response is a one-time response. Here are some ideas. If they don't work, good luck. Because
we could always tell them to go to the resources section on the Brand Live site to review the attendee guide, which they should have received via email as well.
Right. You definitely can include that in the response. The attendee guide, as I said, is not going to have the answer to everything. So it all depends on what the issue is. I think if the issue is something that's addressed in the attendee guide, then I mean, definitely we want to tell them that, and maybe even just include it as a, by default, just attach it every response. But I don't think we can assume it. Like, I'm just, yes, Kevin is right. One of the most common things, I mean, we just had it with the SEC on Wednesday, even though everything's working perfectly, someone writes in like, oh, there's no audio, right? And it's like, well, the audio is fine. So we still have to respond, but there's no attendee guide that's going to fix it for them. So we just need to figure out like a few things to say with a summative line that takes it off our plate, like please contact your IT department for additional support if these tips were not useful to you. We're very sorry. Please note that the recording will be made available via Head Exchange, whatever. I mean, is this crazy what I'm saying? Does this make sense?
No, that makes sense to me.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally, I wouldn't even necessarily grovel in apologies to them.
Well, not apologize like we're at fault, but like, I'm sorry that you are experiencing difficulties, just so it sounds sympathetic. It doesn't have to be sympathetic.
I'm sorry that you're dumb.
Yeah, and I do think typically like when we do send those replies, because eventually of course we'll get people saying things about volume, etc. It's like I do think it's important to note, like in the reply, like, you know, things are working correctly, basically, like the issue is likely on your end. Please,
right.
You know, doing it in a way that's not, you're an idiot, but that's a way that like lets everyone know like
other users are not experiencing this issue.
Yeah, and I think but anyway, and so maybe how about this? Let's take 2 seconds to brainstorm what we think the biggest issues are. And Elizabeth, I don't know when we hang up if you will have 5 minutes to just write what you think is like proper canned responses, so that we have those going forward before tomorrow. Does that work? Obviously volume is one. I'm not seeing the video playing, maybe is a second one. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but the responses, again, it seems to be working okay. You know, reload the page essentially is maybe Mark is the easiest thing there. And then also, I'm assuming, Mark, you have something in the attendee guide about that, maybe not.
No, I mean,
okay.
It shouldn't even matter. I mean, it's not to say that we can't tell them to reload the page, but like when we update, the page just updates, even if you don't reload. So
right, maybe try a different browser, try like something like that.
Yeah, try reloading, try a different browser. I think those are things you say.
Yeah.
If somebody says I can't see it, but like ideally, I mean, for example, I pulled up Brand Live way before we started, right? And then when we started, it just magically appeared. I didn't touch anything.
Right.
Well, I think the biggest issue with IRS, or through the experience of IRS, is the biggest complaints we get with that number of attendees was their sound. Screen froze. So normally that's their own personal internet connections cause a lot of problems, and then they want to blame us for those issues.
Right.
So we would probably need canned responses specifically for those two biggest issues. Everything else is just kind of like we would respond on as needed basis, really.
Yep, perfect. Well, now, and I think maybe we can rec up for if someone's having issues with freezing stuff, like maybe just again, I think it's important to reiterate that the stream is working correctly. I would say maybe close out of other programs, check your internet speed, that kind of thing. I don't know. Like, again, these are just super generic, like it's not our fault, basically. Like, figure your technology out.
Yeah.
And Linnell, so in general, are you able and free to be the one who's monitoring event support for these kinds of questions? I assume it will happen mostly at the beginning of each day, and potentially also some, beginning of sessions. I know you're obviously doing some other stuff, so I just wanted to check and see I want to confirm our plan for making sure that event support is, monitored and that kind of thing.
I'm definitely open to be able to keep track of that. The only thing that I have kind of a blackout for is going to be for the AOD meeting that is on Tuesday, and then another AOD listening session we have scheduled immediately following that. So between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. is when I will be kind of tied up on Tuesday.
So that's good. That's on day 2, and it's in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I think in the beginning, when we really need to be able to support attendees, I would be open and available.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll definitely plan on then having you checking out that event support email as of 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I don't think, as we know, the majority of the emails are going to come at 8:50 or 8:55 or whatever it is, but hopefully we can respond to people starting at around 8.
Okay, I do have, I will be dropping my daughter off between 8 and 8:30.
Okay. Okay, one of us, Elizabeth, do you have access to the event support email address or no?
I think I do from working with Mark last year, and I will check on that and get back to you via email if there's a problem. Oh, no.
Not that's a different, we had a specific one for NIST that I gave you access to because it was via Gmail. This one isn't through Gmail.
Oh, is it SIDEM?
It's through our Office subscription, our Office business subscription. I don't even know how to give you access.
If somebody can get me the credentials of that, either POP or SMTP setup, I can do it.
The problem is we'd have to talk to Eugene. I mean, he'll get back to us, but we'd have to.
Isn't there a web access portal?
Not for event support that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's only for our personal ones. But that's fine.
I can work with y'all later on that. I'm willing to do it and help manage it, but yeah, y'all got to get me some either login credentials or back-end details to set it up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Missy and I can just plan on tag teaming it from like 8 to 8:30.
Yeah, and I'll tell you and Stefan later about when I do have also kid transport blocks, but it's just once a day in the mornings, but we'll deal with that later.
We're going to get just as much in chat probably, right away. I mean, like at 8:50 tomorrow. Don't you think just as much will come in chat as via email?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Elizabeth can monitor the chat. You and Missy can monitor the email. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I was thinking more of that, like 8 to 8:30 before Linnell gets back. Like definitely Missy and I can definitely handle the. I think we'll get chat as people log into the sessions at, like, you're right, 8:50 and after that. I think people.
And I'm available then since I'm West Coast time. My conflict's not till 10:30 Eastern for 10 minutes, and again 11:45 Eastern for 10 minutes.
Yeah, Kevin, also on that note, I have to touch base with Mac about the morning time. Just getting our little guy up and out.
And I have to touch base with Marlon about petting our cats.
I knew you were going to say some other cats. I'll take care of those cats. All right, then here, unless somebody's got something, here's what I was asking about Stefan and Kevin, and I hope Missy and Linnell, this is a benefit. I'll mentally go through a very brief thing. You'll see what I'm talking about when I go. Obviously, presenters and SIDEM are on Zoom. Zoom goes out. Zoom goes through the Restream platform so that the captioning can occur. And Restream only deals with the captioning. No,
not quite. No. So
Restreams deals with the Restream, and SyncWords deals with the captioning. And
Restream allows us to
Restream
multi-stream to Brand Live and SyncWords simultaneously.
Okay. And it restreams to SyncWords so that SyncWords can obviously caption it, and then Restream takes that SyncWords information and actually sends it to Brand Live?
No. So Restream
Nope.
goes to Brand Live just for video feed. So there's an RTMP feed that just Restream operates strictly as a repeater. So you go from Zoom to Restream via RTMP. Restream takes that RTMP and it repeats it to 2 locations. And so far, only video information has been transmitted, right? Zoom is only transmitting audio video via RTMP to Restream. Restream takes that audio video and it goes to both SyncWords and Brand Live. Brand Live takes that audio video feed from Restream and it puts a video player that is processing that information on the appropriate session page. Then SyncWords takes that audio video information and it runs it through its own automatic speech recognition. And then it basically just takes that live transcript and puts it on a separate website that only SyncWords controls. SyncWords then gives you the ability to take an iframe of that website and put it into Brand Live. And so below the video feed in Brand Live, you have the iframe of the SyncWords page that was generated from the audio video that came to SyncWords via Restream.
I like it. And all the tweaking of latency, which we're not touching, and delay, which we are, happens on the SyncWords backend platform.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So real quick, Mark, I just noticed for the first time, I didn't notice it the other day, but when I scroll down on my Brand Life page to look at the Slido, the player windows is popping up in a smaller window when I scroll down,
Yes.
which wasn't happening for me the other day. So I don't know if that's something my Chrome is doing.
I think it only happens when we have a live stream being fed into Brand Live, right?
Well, right.
Oh,
If there's no
okay.
stream, then there's nothing to follow you.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, great. I didn't know that. And then did we find out a way to eliminate the Zoom bug?
It doesn't, it says it's free, but it's free for people who have more than 10 hosts or more in their plan active. And we only have, I think, 7 active. So it would not be free for us.
Okay.
May I finish one more tangent of that flow?
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
No, don't be sorry. It just made me, no. It made me think. And Slido, which we're using the consign forms, was it not? Cognito forms, consignment. Cognito forms, getting all that info in there, and the that information is manually put into Slido. That I actually got 2 sort of invitations from. Will Slido be with, well, I'll ask that specific in a second. So then all that tweaking of either poll questions in advance or other things is being input by, one of these 6 people here. And then that is, they provide you a widget, obviously, to embed it within Brand Live so that the Slido slide shows up within the session, correct?
Yes. So Kevin is responsible for creating the Slido pages, or Slido refers to them as events. For us, they're sessions, but for Slido, they're events. Kevin is responsible for creating the Slido events for your team. Missy is responsible for creating the Slido events for my team. And so those will include all of the poll questions and whatever other setup the presenters requested. And then I will take the embed codes that Slido offers and embed via iframe a widget from Slido onto each Brand Live page that will allow the users the ability to use Q&A and polls and stuff like that. And so that will already be set up. Go ahead.
Okay. Are all the Slido widget or specifics per session, or does Kevin have his own little zone that you have access to, or are we all sharing one sort of viewing opportunity for every Slido widget per session? Well, not, or Slido setup, whatever you want to call what the actual Slido setup is within their program.
Yeah, so there are, go ahead.
I could actually know the SyncWords. I was logged into Slido. Oh, that's what it was, is that Kevin had asked if I'd seen something from him, which I did, but I created a Slido account last night based on that invitation. And now when I clicked on Kevin's, it says, set your name and password, but I'm under Mark's organization. So it's like,
Well,
why would I
that's
need
correct.
to set up
No,
again?
That's so use the invitation that I sent today, because I'm seeing your invitation is still pending. Basically, you need to accept the invitation so that you can be part of our organization and you can see the Slido events that I give you access to.
Even though I accepted an invitation last night, that doesn't, of somebody's, I'm not saying it was yours. I deleted all my invites because I created all my accounts. Let me see. Where
And we're using oliverem@me.com, right?
Yes.
I just resent the 2 pending. Linnell's and Elizabeth's were pending. Kevin, Mark, Missy, and
Oh.
Stefan are accepted. So I resent the pending. We can only have 3 admins. So that's Mark, Kevin, Missy. Stefan is in as a guest right now. Under invitations, I still see Linnell and Elizabeth pending. So I resent those. So if you can, look for an email from Slido in the last minute or so, and try to accept that invitation.
Because Mark owns the Slido questions for our first 2 sessions tomorrow, or he set them up, we are collaborators invited by Mark for those 2. But then for the rest of our Slido sessions, Elizabeth, Kevin will be the one inviting us to be collaborators or guests.
Oh, okay. So the one I got from Mark yesterday morning at 10 was obviously for that test session only, not for.
I'm talking
it was
about
an
adding you
event
to the
within-
actual team. So right now
Right.
there's different things like within an event in Slido. Okay, I'll share my screen so that I'm not looking at this alone. So I can click on an event in Slido, and then I can go to share access, and then put in your link, right? Or your email, excuse me. And what I was talking about now is if I go to team management. So here's my team. So Linnell just accepted, so she's in now. And then under invitations, you're listed as pending here. So we're
Gotcha.
talking about like
And
this should give you access to more than 1 session. Linnell, can you confirm that? I know you just registered, so take a look and see if you can access all of the sessions that
No,
are
I
active.
think we have to. I guess
We'll still
Linnell
have to do
definitely
it
confirm, but
individually.
I do think we have to, based on my experience with Stefan, we have to give him, or you have to give individual access to people.
Got it.
But you can do that by if you click on team and then you go to the 3 dots next to one of the people's names. You go to shared events. That'll show which events have been shared to that person, and you can just go and add them.
Right.
That's how I added Stefan.
Makes sense. So I think what we should do then is, Missy, if you can add Linnell to all of our sessions, all of the track A sessions, and Kevin, if you add Elizabeth to all of the track B sessions.
Right. Yeah, I've already added Stefan. I'll do all the track B, and I'll add Elizabeth as well once.
Yeah, and I was planning on that as well. I'm still working on that
Perfect.
stuff. So
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, certainly it's not urgent, but just making sure we know what we're responsible for. So Kevin, you'll make sure that your team all has access to the Slido. Missy, you'll make sure our team has access to the Slido, and then during the sessions, do we want to have one person be nominally responsible for not only changing the poll question, but sharing screen with Slido as well? I think Kevin, you already said you'll do it for your team. Is that right?
Correct. I will
Missy,
be the Slido master for our sessions.
Excellent. And Missy, do you feel comfortable doing that for us when you're available?
yes, I might have a question for you, Kevin, afterwards on that front. But yeah, I can make that my responsibility.
And so Linnell and Elizabeth, if you don't mind, I think it would be useful for you to catch up with, Elizabeth with Kevin and Linnell with Missy, to make sure that you know how to do it if anything let's say Missy or Kevin has to step away for IRS or something, and Linnell or Elizabeth is stepping in on their behalf, just make sure you know how to do the Slido, because although the things like responding to event support, yeah, that's important, but I think nothing is more important than the actual live session, right? So we should just make sure that at every moment we know who's going to be handling polls, Q&A, stuff that's actually impacting the live session. I think, Stefan, you were on the right track. You and I will be responsible for screen sharing of any presentation slides. So if ever they say, can you advance these slides for me, Stefan and I will be primarily responsible for that. And Kevin and Missy are primarily responsible for advancing Slido or sharing screen. And then if either of you has to step away, then Elizabeth and Linnell respectively will take over for that. Are there any other?
Can I just jump in here real quick?
Please.
I clicked on the links, Mark, that you had sent to me, and initially the first link had me set up the account, which I did. And then when I clicked on the second invitation, it had a pop-up that told me that if I press continue, then I would lose access to the previous
Right.
event.
As guests, Linnell and Elizabeth, as guests, we can only be guests on 2 Slido events at a time. So basically, once we get, like right now, I'm a guest on housing module parts 1 and 2 and economic development parts 1 and 2, which I really don't need to be part of economic developments because that's not really.
I see what you're saying.
That is.
So-
I see what you're saying.
So
You're saying
now,
if you accept a third one, it takes away your first one, right?
no, because all of the links that I am clicking now, because I had 3 that were assigned to me. The first 2 are, the invitation is no longer valid. It says that please ask your Slido administrator to resend you the invitation. And so the only one I can currently click on is the, let me see, the rental assistant one.
Yeah, I see you as having that one. Administrative policies and procedures is our first event tomorrow, so I just invited you to that. If it's true that you can only have 2, then
Just say I can just give you my login, Linnell.
can
That
you
would make
be
better sense.
logged in both? Missy, if you don't mind, let's do that right now and make sure that while Linnell's logged in as you, that you don't lose any access or control. Can we just check that
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always the question of what my password is, though. So Linnell, when you log in, it's my email address, and then I have to look at my password. So hold on one second. We just hit save.
So is there anything you can share with me, Mark, right now within Slido where I see more than one event become accessible to me?
So if this works with Missy and Linnell, I would just share my Slido information with you, Elizabeth.
Because Mark's going to share some with me, but we're anticipating that I have to do a separate acceptance and it'll
Sorry, excuse me.
negate the acceptance I just did. Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, I wouldn't expect that it will negate, but I mean, it may be. So I just invited you to a new one. And now I see
now
you
I see
listed
2.
as 2, so no issue there.
And did y'all say it maxes at 2 events or it doesn't max at 2 events?
That's what Stefan
So just
said.
make that
I
up.
can't confirm that because I'm the owner, so I haven't experienced that. Stefan, you're sure about that?
For me, it won't let me go beyond accepting 2 invitations without getting rid of 1.
Linnell, I just sent you
Well, he
my
gave me-
password, FYI. So if you want to try logging in.
Logging in now.
Mark, will you share one more different event with me then, please?
Actually, Kevin should be sharing with you.
It
Well,
doesn't- It doesn't make a difference because I
Okay.
have access to everything.
Okay.
So I see accepted, pending.
Okay, so
So maybe
two,
that's
when you
the
added,
two
when I went from 1 to 2, the second one just refreshed and was there. Now that you've added a third, I'm refreshing. There's not a third there, and I'm assuming I have an email. And yes, I do. That's the new Slido event kind of invitation regarding that third event you just gave me.
Yeah, so I think the best thing is if we can make the solution that Missy and Linnell are working on, if we can make that work for them, then Kevin is right. We'll just do that same thing for you and Kevin.
That, or I don't mind if y'all want to keep that tidier. I could just prompt Kevin as one event ends. Would you please share this next event with me? But if that's too much, especially on day one, that's fine. And
Well, I
not
think
that I'll be doing much with Slido, but
right. I think the only issue is that the purpose of you having the access is that if Kevin needs to step away or his internet goes out or whatever, so relying on him to do it
Right.
in the middle is just adding a layer of potential issues.
I would force him. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. So again,
Elizabeth and Stefan, I just emailed you both my Slido password.
okay.
Obviously, use my SIDEM email.
Right, but we only have 2 Slido sessions for Monday. We have one for both the morning sessions and one for both the afternoon sessions.
Right. On your side.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
So we're good for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So this will be part of our Monday night meeting, making sure we have access to everything we need to have access for on Tuesday.
Although, so right now, Elizabeth doesn't have access to the correct ones. The basically CDBG course, she doesn't need access to.
Right. Those testing ones, I'm assuming, are not the ones we're actually doing tomorrow, and if they're not made yet, that's fine. I can actually, do I get the power to dump these?
No, they're
I can
made.
leave them.
They're
okay, so let me leave
they're
these.
made.
I wonder. Okay, I'll leave these 2 sessions so that I can be assigned the 2 Slido, events/sessions for tomorrow.
So the CDBG housing models parts 1 and 2, you will need for tomorrow.
Oh, well then I'll leave that one there.
Leave that one, but then the basically CDBG course that you do not need for tomorrow. So you can get rid of that one for now. Okay. And then I'm going to send you a different one that you need for tomorrow called economic development.
Can you just add me like Mark did where you select me, or has he only got the power to just say, tell her to be on this event as well? Or do you have to send the invitation? Oh, there it goes. It took it.
I believe.
Okay. So I see CDBG-CV housing models parts 1 and 2 for, it says the entire week, but and economic development, COVID resiliency improvements 1 and 2.
That's perfect.
And it shows Kevin, we're both in Mark's organization, but just does it matter that the I want to say CBDs because Oregon, CDBG, it shows Mark Gifford maybe as the creator, and then the econ dev is Kevin Bird as the owner.
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, this is Mark's Slido account. Missy and I are like 2nd tier admins, and then you and Stefan and Linnell right now are, I guess, 3rd tier guests. So we as 2nd tier admins have to give you permission, I guess, to see those. So if that makes sense.
Yep.
Nice.
And so, Mark, I would assume that, again, for just some general housekeeping among the teams while we're in Zoom, while we're there to make sure all the presenters have, the right authority and their mics are good, their cameras are good, and they know who's going to be sharing. And we go over those things, those general housekeeping things. If a speaker doesn't show up, it's internally their issue to try to find that speaker and get that speaker to join or figure out who's going to cover that person.
Yeah, I think they have to figure that out. I mean, we can send an email. I'm not saying, if there's no speakers and we know who they're supposed to be, I'm not opposed to sending an email saying, hey, don't forget to join. But it's their responsibility, yes.
I think kind of
That's
similar
definitely-
stuff into how we handle IRS, where we basically are like, can one of you, like, we'll send them an email, but how we normally ask like Patricia, but we would just ask one of their co-presenters, like.
Right.
And Stefan, actually, what would make even the most sense as I'm processing this, I apologize for not saying this sooner, but if you can just go into your Zoom and then resend the invitation. That way there's no concern of like, oh, well, I would have joined, but I didn't get any panelist invitation. You lied. Like, just if 5-10 minutes before you still don't see them, just go in and resend the panelist invitation and don't let them have any excuse.
And should I, as a general rule, like resend it tonight or every morning or a couple hours before their session, resend it?
No, I don't think you have to do that. I mean, you
Okay.
It's not like a problem, but we did not tell them we would be doing that. I'm only saying like 15 minutes before the session switches, right?
Right.
And if 10 minutes before they're still not there, I say go for it. Just resend it.
Okay.
What is the generic timing of their invitations for the Zoom? Just, I don't know if I've missed that. Has it already been sent to everyone, or is it?
No, not
daily?
to everyone. Stefan sent his yesterday, right, Stefan?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And I sent my Monday invitations yesterday, and I'm sending the rest of them today.
And Stefan, yeah, you sent the whole week. That's right. So you'll decide on your own reminders.
Yeah, I mean, I won't remind
Um,
anybody unless they're not showing up when the session starts.
Right. I'm trying to minimize the amount of extra responsibility I put on us just because this has been a shit show from day one. And if we start sending 10 reminder messages and then they don't show up, it's going to feel more like our fault in some way. Like if they don't contact us and say, I don't have what I need to have, I'll send, I do plan to send, I will concede one message to all presenters tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, one or the other, that says, look, all the invitations have been sent. If you didn't get one, you got to let us know, but that's it.
And the other important thing to remember is that all the presenters have received individual presenter credentials for Zoom. And so like when I was with NMAC, they made a bad habit of like just sending a generic presenter email to people. And when you send that generic, they're all signed in as the same person. So they have to start renaming themselves and stuff like that. But the other thing is that it also had other things. So like one of them might say, oh, I'll just send so-and-so my email to log in. But then when they log in, you will have two Jane Does rather than a Jane Doe and a John Doe. And I mean, they can rename themselves and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of the communication that I've given has been, you will receive a unique email from no-reply@zoom.us that has the language, click here to join. And that link is just for you.
Right.
So I've been saying that in the speaker guide and in the rehearsals and in the walkthrough video I did. So I will continue to hammer that message that you get your own link to join.
And I watched the video. I
Let
thought
us
it was a
know.
very good video, Mark.
Thank you.
And the other complication, if someone uses kind of a generic link to join the Zoom, is just that they would be put in as an attendee.
We haven't sent them
Oh,
generic
that's true.
links
Yeah,
for
yeah,
those.
right. That was stupid. Never mind.
We only did that for the rehearsal, and yes, everyone
Right.
joined as an attendee, because if you
Yeah,
give
never
them
mind.
a calendar invitation, if you give anyone who works in government an Outlook calendar invitation, they will not look at anything else. That's what I have found. So we're just telling them use the Zoom. And by the way, they can add it to their own calendar through that, but we don't need to get into that. Anyway, so, okay. Planning for the week. We know who's going to do Slido. We know who's the backup for Slido. Presumably the host who is doing the screen sharing responsibilities, that's Stefan and me. Stefan, if you or I have to step away, let's try to do it, if at all possible, only when both Kevin and Elizabeth are there, and for me, only when both Missy and Linnell are there.
No
And
problem.
And then I think, Missy, tell me if you disagree, but what I think makes the most sense is, and Linnell, also tell me your level of comfort and what you prefer. I think what makes the most sense is if I drop off and you've been doing Slido, you keep doing Slido, and then Linnell does PowerPoint screen sharing. Does that make sense to you? Or do you think we should all shift?
Sorry, no, sorry, I was on mute. That, I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't know how many presentations we have at the very least for tomorrow at this point.
Yeah, we have to go into incognito and see
Yeah.
who wants us to do it for tomorrow. But Linnell, how does that strike you? Just basically, if I need to drop off and you and Missy are both there, and Missy has been doing Slido, she just keeps doing Slido, and you fill in for me as host doing the screen sharing.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay. Let me.
I have a question because I figured that's right. I mean, me feeling like a floater, that's why I want to make sure I'm as well versed in all of it as possible. Where my assumption is, if Stefan's being asked to share someone's PowerPoint, right, and advance the slides, where is that file physically sitting right now for, say, tomorrow's PowerPoints?
Elizabeth, right now, I don't have any of the PowerPoints for tomorrow. They weren't shared by the presenters. The only one of the two groups that said that we would possibly be sharing anything is the morning one. So I have emailed her for it. And when I do get it, depending on the size, I'll either email it directly or put it in a shared Dropbox so that we can all have access to. The ones for the afternoon said they didn't have anything that they would be doing at all. Again, you know, me being a control freak, I like to have backup copies, but just in case. So I'm waiting to hear back from them.
And I would prefer, no matter what, that we just create a shared box or something like that, so that if any last minute updates come in, it's not, okay, generate all these emails. It's like, hey, update in Dropbox, grab that to have on local if you need to end up sharing.
Okay, so I will do that.
What we've asked is that they share it via Cognito forms. So there's a place in the form where they can upload the file. And I'm looking right now to see who uploaded a file, you know, a PowerPoint file, I mean, or whatever slideshow they would use. Keynote, something.
I see two.
Maybe, I was gonna say, maybe nobody has, because they're gonna wait till 2 minutes before.
Well, this is why I was trying to wash my hands of it. So I see one for welcome and overview of CDBG program with CDBG CV program from Dion Roberts. And that is for Wednesday. And that's just, I mean, basically for basically CDBG, Stefan, we are sharing basically the entire time, right? So like Wednesday through Friday afternoon, there will almost always be a SIDEM screen share. But in terms of tomorrow, still not seeing anything for tomorrow. Which, and again, just to be clear, I understand that in general, I don't see anything for tomorrow. I understand that in general, our philosophy is like, please share, you know, your PowerPoint with us so we have it as an emergency backup. In this case, especially because this is usually groups of speakers, I am actually actively trying not to do that. Like, I would prefer that it not fall on us at all. I don't want 2 seconds before for them to be like, oh, actually, can you do it? Oh, I'll email you the file. I mean, I just want them to figure it out. If they've told us already, we need you to do it, like we're doing for basically, I get it. But I don't want to deal with, you know, the presenter's already giving me sob stories about like, oh, I just found out we were doing this and I still have to create my presentation. Like, that's fine. We just found out we were doing this too. So, you know, we're all in this together. You can share your own screen. And if you have a problem, you've got 3 other presenters with you, one of them can take over. That's my preference, unless they've specifically said we want SIDEM to share screen.
Sounds good.
I
And
think
I'll
that
just
sounds
make
good.
sure then an access, oh, sorry, through Cognito Forms.
Yeah, I mean, not that you shouldn't create a Dropbox if you want one. I don't mean to say at all, but I'm telling you, like, in terms of getting the most up-to-date version, I've said several times to presenters, like, please update your Cognito format. I've made it editable in many different ways so that if you have an update to your whatever, you can go in there and do it. And I also set it up to send me an email every time someone makes an edit. So hopefully, if there is someone who's like, oh, actually, I need you to share my presentation and here it is, that's how we'll find out about it. And we should all, I believe, be able to access that now.
So Mark, a question on the Slido front.
Okay.
So if we have not received, I mean, in the case where someone has not completed a form,
Yes.
we are still creating a Slido so that the Q&A is there.
If they don't create a
Correct.
form, let's just do a Q&A and nothing else. And then before the meeting, we will confirm with them, like, you do want participants to be able to ask questions, right? And if they say, actually, no, we're not taking questions, we're not asking them anything either, this is just us talking, then, I mean, obviously we should have just recorded it in advance, but putting that to the side for a second, at that point, we can go into Slido and disable the ability for participants to ask questions. So I don't know if you've done that before, but I can walk everyone through it quickly.
Well,
Under,
I mean, so, but at that point though, if you've already embedded like the widget, then nothing will just show up, I guess, if there's no question, no option for questions, like if everything's disabled.
it'll show up if there's already questions, they would show up. So here, I just closed voting and questions on this one. And so now I'm going to, let me just get the direct link. Oh, not present link, this link. So it just shows up, but it says questions and voting closed. And I know you could just delete the widget, but then people will think we forgot. Do you know what I mean?
No, gotcha. Yeah. No doubt.
So I think we can
so
just
basically create a,
close it.
okay. The answer is yes.
Yeah, we'll do the widget no matter what. I don't imagine anyone saying, I don't want any type of communication with anyone in the audience, but it is possible. Because there was one lady in the rehearsal was like really adamant about, can't we just use the chat? And she even said like a normal event. And so, although that was irksome to me personally, if that's what she wants to do, that's fine. And then this would be closed.
And then I guess another question on that front. So I was just looking through one of the presentations that have been uploaded. And this particular case isn't until, I guess, Wednesday, I guess, but the housekeeping notes you have here, for instance, let me just scroll through, sorry. So they included the one about polls, and then they included the general information one that says like questions, polls, and ideas. And it goes on to say, you know, if you would like to access question, polls, and ideas while simultaneously viewing the event without scrolling down, download the Slido app, blah, 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 blah. But just to confirm, like, we should not be enabling the ideas tab unless that was requested, correct?
Correct. I think they just screwed up
That's
because
just, yeah, I mean, it's something, yeah, that was just a general, which is not a
Right.
big deal. Okay.
Remember that the Wednesday through Friday, one of the sessions is run entirely by the government. So we may have to make some changes to the slide deck to help them out a little bit.
Okay. And then links for each session. Zoom room links. I don't know that I have those yet.
Right. send them all yet. So you're on, you
Okay.
and Linnell. So Elizabeth and Kevin presumably received them from Stefan already, but you and Linnell have not received them all from me as of yet.
Okay.
You will,
And
you'll
my-
receive two things. You'll receive both the link, right? You'll get the alternative host invitation, and then you'll also see an email that I'll copy you on, that'll go to all presenters, and it will say, your panelist invitation has already been sent. If you did not receive it, please let us know. And so that would be your cue. If you still haven't received it at that time, definitely let me know. Sorry, Kevin.
Oh, the only thing I was going to just mention is that all of those the Zoom invitations for me end up in my clutter. So Missy, I don't know if your inbox will sort yours the same, Missy and Linnell.
Did you add a contact? Did you add no-reply at zoom.us as a contact?
Probably not.
Because that should fix it, right? Because
Yeah.
messages from your contacts shouldn't go to clutter. I actually don't have mine set up with a clutter box, but either way, if you do, then
Yeah, that was just the default for however I think Eugene's had or whatever. So
gotcha.
anyway.
Okay, so in terms of what we need to do live during sessions, which is the most important thing, and actually, you know what? I just realized we've been live streaming. Okay, good. It finally stopped. Or did it? Wait, I'm on a different page now. I don't know if it actually.
Oh, it's still going. Live
Okay,
stream's still going.
We should stop it because we have 4 hours of testing. I know we're not quite at 40 yet.
Stefan, when you set up your Zooms, you did set them up to record in the cloud automatically, right?
I think that was Stefan coughing, possibly.
Yeah, he may need a minute. It sounded like he needs a
I'm
minute.
sorry. Go ahead and ask me. I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
No, sorry. I was just asking I just wanted to confirm that when you set up all of your Zooms, that you set them up so that they automatically